Should we do a vocal warm-up or something?
La 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 la. Okay. That was great. Your face was just great when you did that. So, hi everybody. I am so thrilled to be here virtually with Jess Grippo, who is a dear friend and who is also an incredibly creative woman and creativity coach, and just does amazing work helping people get in touch with their creativity and make their creativity come out. And I know that you guys are just going to get so much value from listening to her and hearing about her experience and what she does with the people that she works with. She's just an incredible lady. So, without any further ado, Jess, hi.
Hi. You're making me blush.
Tell people a little bit about your background as an artist and sort of where you were and what brought you to where you are today and what you're doing today.
Sure. Well, so similar to you, I started out in a very classically trained environment. I was, yes, very boxed in. I was on the, classical ballet route, and I took it, after high school, I took a year off before going to college and just decided to focus fully on ballet. And I auditioned and was going that route. And then all of a sudden, I think it was a lot of fear and it was shaky knees, from prior injuries and things that just made me say, you know what, do I want to do this as a profession or do I want to open my horizon? And there was pressure from my parents to go to regular school. And I finally decided to do that. And dance just slowly drifted away from me. I didn't really have any other options. It was like ballet or nothing, so I chose the nothing route. And years go on. Meanwhile, there's like health issues happening. I find myself in this like job that I'm sitting at a desk all day when I moved to New York City to become a dancer, just really questioning like what am I doing with myself? And the health route was what started to get me back to life. And once I was doing that, and once we also went to the same nutrition school, you and I, and, so you know how that is, right? You're like, yes, I'm going to change the world through food, and started helping people in that way. I worked with an amazing center called Flow Living, a women's health center, and it was awesome. And there was also something missing for me because I'm like, that part of myself that is a dancer and an artist and needs to express and move, and it just wasn't happening. Or it would happen here and there, at a karaoke night, I would find myself just going crazy and performing and dancing and like doing and I'm like, wow, there really must be something inside of me that needs to do this more. What is that? And at the time, I was too intimidated to just go to Broadway Dance Center or Steps on Broadway, these places in New York City that can be really intimidating to just walk into when you haven't danced in years. And so I said, okay, what am I going to do that will get me into the groove without exposing myself to that kind of, intimidation? And I started just dancing at home. I would go to the park and dance in like a quiet corner where no one was really around. And I just found like little ways just to start moving in my own way, which was totally new for me. And eventually I started recording these sessions, and I created an anonymous YouTube channel and said, I'm just going to, I wanted to share it with people, but no one I knew. I knew that it was something like, okay, this is just for me right now. So I did, and it felt really good, and became this secret creative outlet that I had where I would, escape to the park. And, one of my first videos was, it was in the rain, and I was on a jog, and it started raining in the park, and so everyone kind of clears out of the park when it rains. So I took advantage of this opportunity, and I had my little iPod at the time, and with the cord of the iPod, I tied it to a fence so that it was facing me, and just in the rain, I hit record, had a little recorder on there, I just started dancing, and that was one of the first videos that was actually the first video that I shared publicly. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, let me share it with people. And from then it just became this thing that I did, and I'm so grateful that I had that impulse, and I was like, I have to start somewhere, let me just do this. And now it's still a thing that I do. I still keep the dance video blog. And not only that, but it started to inform my coaching practice. So the coaching work that I was doing with people went from being majorly health focused to now all of a sudden attracting clients who were also dealing with wanting to paint again, or, you know, like trying to find themselves as artists, even though it was really scary. And, you know, not everyone was just a dancer, but all over the map. I'm like, this is interesting. And it started to really take on a life of its own. And that's how I started to transition into doing creativity coaching specifically, which is what I do now. Yeah, that's the long answer to your question, but that's kind of how I'm doing what I do today.
Well, I think it's incredible, and I've actually seen some of your dance videos on your blog, and I recommend that everyone check them out. Where can they check them out? Where can they see them?
So you can go, so my website, jessgrippo.com. You'll see right at the thing there's like a picture of me like in a big leap dancing. You can click on that and it'll take you to a page where there's like more dance videos. It's also on Tumblr, jessgrippo.tumblr.com.
The first time I saw one of your dance videos, I remember emailing you right away and being like, this was so inspiring. Just the courage that it takes to just do something like that in public. I was so moved by that. It's, you know, it's one thing to like, you know, for me to like sit and craft a song, you know, it's like a very private experience, but to video yourself in a public place dancing and just expressing like, and you're just bursting with life when you're doing it. You know, I was so inspired. Like it really moved me, and it inspired me so much that I ended up coming to your dance class. So I want you to talk a little bit about your dance class that you offer, and who that's for, and what that's about.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, before I talk about that, I just want to speak to what you just said, because the fact that you're saying like how expressive I am in the videos is like, it always like, I always have to do a double take when someone says something like that, because it's hard to believe sometimes that I am doing it. Because I was like, if you would have met me in my ballerina days, it was improvisation, like just doing what I wanted to, dancing. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I had no idea. Like, I only knew the positions that I knew and the steps that someone was telling me to do. And so it's like I don't know, it's such a different thing. And it's just amazing. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and I so relate to that because I grew up playing classical piano, and I really only approached the piano if there was music in front of me to read.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if I had memorized something and I was playing it. But the idea of creating something that's my very own expression on the piano was not only like, you know, improv, like composing. Oh, that's for those people. I can't do that. But it was even beyond that. It was like, who do I think I am to create something of my own? I had a lot of that I had to work through. So I'm wondering if you had any of that too, of like, can I do this step? Can I go in this direction? Can I move this way? Is this allowed? And then discovering like, hey, it is, and it's good.
Yeah, it was very scary when I first started just moving on my own and exploring what that was. And I started to notice like I would kind of get in the same ruts of like doing similar movements and things like that. And so, you know, eventually kind of or watching other people's videos or taking classes or doing things that would expose me to other styles helped too. But I realized that like it's cool because I could take like all of those things can inform me, and I can take it in my own way and then create from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and just the fact, like, another big learning piece for me through making the videos was that it's not a selfish thing. Like, this was something I really had to get over, because part of when I quit ballet, my mentality was like, it's so selfish to be a dancer, to be an artist. Like, I'm not helping anyone. Like, how is this even making a difference? Like, I just didn't see that, you know, and that's why I studied psychology and sociology and tried to, you know, and eventually, you know, became a coach in my own way. But you know what I mean? It was like that, oh, being just an artist is not enough.
I so relate to that, and I'm so glad that you brought it up, because I know the people in my community listening to this also experience a lot of these things of like this feeling of like, you know, is it selfish to just pursue something that gives me pleasure? Is it selfish to pursue something that isn't directly, you know, in a clear way, like helping somebody? And the thing that I discovered through my own process, and I think this is what you're speaking to, is that actually the more that you do that, the more that you are doing for yourself, your creativity, your self-expression, and you invite people to it, right? Like through your videos, through performance, through anything, their lives are improved.
Yeah.
And often in ways that are immeasurable. It's not like, oh, now you switched from, you know, eating Captain Crunch to brown rice. That's a clear switch. But art, you know, seeing art and how you're moved from it, you know, you can't touch it. It has like a magical aspect to it that just reaches people's hearts, you know, and moves them and helps them in immeasurable ways, in ways that nothing else in the world can. You know, like when the lyric of a song touches you and you're just like, ugh, you know, or you go see a dance performance and there's just a certain expression, certain way someone does a movement that just is just embedded in your mind, and it's just so beautiful and so moving. Absolutely. So I think it's just that one of the many, many myths of being an artist, oh, artists are selfish. Actually, we're like cutting open a vein and exposing ourselves and being so courageous doing that, you know, and by doing so, we're really helping so many other people, not just ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been touched so many times and helped so many times by hearing a song at the right moment, or, you know, it's just, it really is. It's amazing. And, you know, not only from the pure just inspiration aspect, but for me, like the dance videos, it's interesting because I started doing them right before a very tumultuous time in my life. My dad got really sick. In the same like couple of months, I had to leave my apartment unexpectedly. I was going through relationship ups and downs. Like all this stuff just started to happen in my life. And making these dance videos, like it became this grounding force for me. It was when all else was crazy and chaotic and stressful and scary, let me just go dance. And it's amazing what that act could do. Yeah. So many, especially of like my earlier dance videos, were made in the context of, you know, spending 12, 13 hours a day in the hospital and coming home and being in my parents' basement dancing it out, you know, and that, you know, I think there is that healing element. So it, like in so many ways, not that you have to go through a tragedy to experience the healing in art, but just like there's so like it's beyond what we can imagine, like what it can do. And that's that's the reason why like I'm so inspired, and I'm so inspired to help people. Like that still is a part of me. It's not that like I don't want to do that work anymore, and I do. And you know, through my creativity coaching and through the dance classes that I teach, like you had mentioned, the class that I'm offering right now is called You Can Dance Again. And it's really for people who might have danced like a little bit in the past, or like me, a lot in the past, but just kind of left it aside, and the real world comes in and now you're an adult and you don't really have recitals once a year anymore, and it kind of sucks, you know? It's like, I want to dance in a recital. So now what I'm providing is like an environment where you can come and you can dance again in a really safe and supportive way. And not only in the classroom, but I'm really dedicated to giving people the tools to then go out in their lives and dance and make stuff happen. And we make dance videos together. And
having taken one of Jess's classes in the You Can Dance Again class, I can say that I felt so safe. I also used to love dancing when I was younger, and when piano took center stage in my life, dance sort of went by the wayside, but it was always something I wanted. And what I loved about being in your class was that it really was safe. It really was fun. It really wasn't all those like, you know, intimidating, you know, classes that I tried to force myself to take in other places years ago. And I think that's what's so special about what you're offering is that, you know, yeah, you can walk into Broadway dance, but if you're someone like me who hasn't danced in a long time, you know, you don't really want to be side by side with like 20 professionals. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like that whole like run to the front of the, you know,